Welcome to the Mission First People Always podcast. We're glad you're here. And now our host, Dr. Mike Patterson.
If you are stressed out, feel like you always have too much to do and too little time to do it in, find yourself to be irritable, or as I like to call it, grumpy, and you feel a bit disconnected from your work and the people around you, then this episode is for you. Today, I talk with a medical doctor who trains her patients and leaders on mindfulness practices and compassion skills. We're going to talk about being more human and compassionate in the workplace and introduce the powerful practices of mindfulness. This episode could be the wake-up call you need to make some changes, some meaningful changes that you can learn and practice in as little as 5 minutes per day. So sit back, listen, learn, and calm down, and become a better leader.
Welcome to the Mission First People Always podcast, where we talk about better business results, stronger teams, more successful careers, and happier lives. Along the way, we hope to bust some biases, build some bridges, and have some fun. We're glad you're here. And now, our host, Dr. Mike Patterson.
It's Dr. Mike Patterson, your host of the Mission First People Always podcast, where we talk about what it takes to be a great leader and how to build great teams. I'm the author of the book, Mission First People Always, the definitive guide to balancing people and performance. It's available on Amazon or wherever you buy your books online. I'm also a trainer, consultant, coach, and I'm focused on leader and team development. Let me remind you, as I always do, subscribe or follow, leave a review, and tell a friend about this podcast. I do it because I sincerely want to help people lead better and to get more done with and through people. I want you to be able to bring out the best in the people around you and show up and be your best self authentically every day at work. I believe everyone I invite to be a guest on this show can add value to your leadership journey, and I like to showcase talented people who care deeply about healthy organizations and good leadership like I do. And today is no exception. My guest today is Outi Hilgert. She's a Finnish medical doctor with 25 years of experience in holistic integrative medicine and an international background working in Finland, Germany, France, and the United States. Dr. Hilgert is a mindfulness-based stress reduction and a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy trainer. She teaches the Mindful Leader course at Workplace Peace Institute's Leadership Academy. Her core competence is developing trauma-informed mindfulness and compassion-based interventions in medicine and society. Her particular interest is in promoting mindfulness, meditation, stress management, emotional intelligence, and self-regulation skills in preventing and treating mental and physical diseases. Dr. Hilgert is a pioneer in developing mindfulness-based digital therapeutics for mental and physical health conditions. She believes in a world where everyone has access to unique healing modalities and can find health, balance, and happiness in their lives. Come back for more after the break.
Imagine a workplace where you feel connected to your work and colleagues, where people joyfully connect to the organization's purpose, mission, and leadership. At Workplace Peace Institute Leadership Academy, we bring evidence-based, brain-based learning to support leaders in creating life-affirming workplaces grounded in peace and dignity. Spark your leadership imagination at Workplace Peace Institute Leadership Academy. Together, let's reimagine work.
My guest today is Dr. Outi Hilgert. And we are talking to the good doctor from Helsinki, Finland. And Dr. Hilgert, she can tell us a bit about her journey, and I'm excited to hear that. But she spends part of her time in Finland, part of her time in Germany. She's lived all over Europe. So, as my listeners know, I love to get people from different parts of the world to contribute to our conversation about leadership and teamwork. And I'm excited to have OT with us today. OT, welcome to the Mission First, People Always podcast.
Thank you, Mike. I'm so excited to spend this time with you and discuss the topic that is so much in my heart and close to my heart.
Well, we're excited to partner with the Workplace Peace Institute Leadership Academy. And I know that you lead a course in the Leadership Academy. We're going to talk about that, but you have an incredibly interesting background. You're a medical doctor by training. And I always like to begin by understanding the journey that my guest went on to get them where they are. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you transitioned from being a more traditional medical doctor to focus on this area of passion for you around mindfulness and compassion and bringing that to people in the workplace.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. This is, I tried to make it very short because I've done a lot, but I went to medical school because I really wanted to understand human being. And in the medical school, I didn't get that understanding that I was longing for. And then I was quite happy to move to Germany at that point in my life when I was ready doctor. And I found in Germany something called like integrative medicine, holistic medicine, which has a broader view of the human being, a mind-body connection, a holistic view. And I was working for many years on that field. And then I was trained in acupuncture, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I became a coach and I had this coaching attitude towards my patients. And then I heard always talking about how important it is to be present in the moment, to live in the moment. And I thought, yes, I get that, but I don't know how. Like I had 3 little kids, I was working, and I had the impression that I'm living all the time either in the past or in the future. Thinking about what I haven't managed to be doing and things that I should be doing. And I found like I don't know how to live in the present moment. And then I came across to a mindfulness course and I thought, okay, I'll take this course in order to learn to live in the present moment. So I did this 8-week Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction course. And that was life-changing for me. I got access to myself, to something really profound in myself that I had not had access before. And it completely changed. I started to meditate. I started to meditate with my patients as well. And then I thought, okay, all my patients actually would need mindfulness skills. And I thought, okay, I need to learn more about this. And so I became a mindfulness teacher. And that was 13 years ago when I got into contact with mindfulness. And since then, I've actually been mostly in doing mindfulness projects. So I've been doing a lot of different projects, teaching physicians mindfulness skills. I've been developing in digital therapeutics. I've been working in a startup company, developing a mindfulness-based treatment program for anxiety, depression, and burnout. And lately, I have also become a trauma-informed therapist. So my passion is really to understand human being and human mind and body and human behavior and everything that is getting in the way of us being our authentic selves.
I love that. This is going to be an exciting conversation. The pathway you took to get where you are opens the door to so many opportunities for us to discuss. But, you know, I always fall back onto that statement. I think it's Socrates who said the beginning of all wisdom is to call things by their right name. And that to me means let's define our terms clearly here. So when you say mindfulness, what exactly does that mean to you? How would you describe it to one of your patients who comes into your office and your response is, I think I can help you with more mindfulness to teach you how to be more mindful. What does mindfulness even mean in the context of your work?
Hmm. In my work as a physician, and if I teach patients to be mindful, it's about very shortly being present in the moment. And being present in a moment and being aware of what is really happening right now. Our mind has a tendency, like a default mode, that it's thinking all the time. So it's the ability to concentrate on whatever is happening on this moment and not being drawn away by our mind to the future or to the past. And mindfulness for me has many different levels. It's first of all, it's really being able to concentrate on what is happening right now. Like if I'm with myself or with other people, that I'm really here. The second layer for me is really becoming and befriending and understanding how does the mind work? How does my mind and everybody's, all of us, mind work? How do our emotions work? And what's happening in our body? And also becoming aware of our behaviors. Because if we are not aware, many things in us, in our behavior is happening on autopilot. So it's programmed, pre-programmed from our life, from our childhood, from our society. And then we think, well, this is how I am. And that's not the whole truth. We are much more than what we think we are. So it's really tapping into this being wholly human and understanding our humanness.
The focus of this podcast is leadership and teamwork. And there's a leadership crisis, or at least some of the literature suggests that there's a leadership crisis around the world. In a 2022 Gallup study, they found that only 33% of the workforce is engaged. And my view is that the pandemic most certainly exacerbated this concern. People feel disconnected from their work and their colleagues, and maybe the fact that they're working remotely more impacts that. What do you think the cause, from a medical and leadership perspective, what do you think the cause of this disconnect or disengagement is?
One aspect is that in leadership and in corporate life, the emphasis is nowadays on productivity, efficacy, bottom line. It's on hard facts. And every business, regardless of what we're doing, even if we are producing some stuff and some material, it always needs people. So we have a lot of understanding about procedures, about finance, budgeting, but we don't have a lot of understanding of what it is to be a human being, what is thriving human beings, how to tap into the motivational and inspirational system of human beings, and to understand how do we actually demotivate people, which is happening also a lot. So in business, we lack the understanding of how to be a human being. And if we want to lead others, we need to be able to understand ourselves and lead ourselves. And from that space, can we lead others?
I'm interested in, and I've long been interested in the different perspectives that Europeans and certain European countries bring to work and what it means to be a human in the workplace. I've spent my life and career in the United States. Do you think there's a problem that this issue we're talking about, the problem that leaders don't understand what it means to be human in the workplace is greater in Europe, where you do most of your work, or is it greater in the United States? It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, doctor, that the European perspective, the pace, especially in Scandinavia, the pace with which you approach work and the work-life balance that people create there is a bit different than the United States, where we are heads down always and very focused on getting more and more and more done every day. How do you see, is there a difference between the Northern European perspective and elsewhere?
Well, the Northern European quality of life, that is really true. We have a balance, work-life balance, but it's not only that, Mike. It's really about what's happening in the workplace. How are people treated in the workplace? Are people treated so that with respect? Is there a sense of belonging, connection, respect? And to my understanding, this is a global problem, and it's not solved here either. So it's really about creating workplace cultures that are inspiring, nurturing, safe, and where people want to be. Because people basically, they want to work and they want to contribute. But very often, and I see it also in my work as a physician, when I see people who have burnout, many leaders and bosses and work cultures can be really toxic. So it's impossible to thrive and to be motivated in those places.
I like your expression that we need to learn to be more human at work, bring more humanity in the workplace. So how should leaders respond? So you described the issue very well. People want to work. People want to be in a place where they feel valued and they can thrive and be their best. People want to add value to the world and feel valued and be treated with dignity, but yet in many instances they don't feel that. How can leaders recognize the world that they're in, and how should leaders respond?
I think one thing is just facts. Many people tend to think, that if you are compassionate and a nice leader, it means that you are soft and then, nothing gets done. And in order to get your bottom line, you need to be hard and harsh and demanding. I think this is a common belief, and that's not true. We know from science that it's the opposite, actually, that wise, compassionate leaders, they perform in every objective and subjective scale much better than the so-called uncaring execution managers. So I think that's the first step. It's just to factually know that it is okay to be a wise and compassionate leader. And through motivating and encouraging and teamwork, we actually get better results and bottom line.
So if I am and I love your language there, a hard, harsh, and demanding leader, and I come to you and say, Doctor, help me. And I've lived my life, I've spent my career driving hard and working to make numbers and to perform and to meet the expectations of those above me. And I'm always going 100 miles an hour, but I'm sort of at the at the edge of disaster here. Good doctor, help me. How would you help me?
I would say, well, first of all, it's great that you recognize what's going on and that you're not feeling well with the way you are, working. And I fully understand that you've been working that way because that's the way how we've taught. We've been taught that this is the effective way and this is how we should do. And it's not only in the workplaces, it's our society on the whole. All our Western societies have this belief that we need to be hard and pushy and we are alone and we need to push through and like the whole society is lacking these softer values. So this is also we see it in the workplaces. The next thing is, like, I would just ask, how do you feel? Mike, how do you feel in your right now? Like, what's your own experience about what's going on?
I feel like there's always more and more to do. I can never get through my to-do list, and I can never meet the expectations that are ever increasing. Let's just play that out.
Yeah. And how do you feel, when you say that you cannot meet your expectations, these to-do lists are so long? How does it make you feel?
Exhausted. It feels as though I'm always on a treadmill, and I'm playing a role, by the way, but there's maybe some reality here. I'm always on this treadmill that just keeps getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah. And you feel exhausted.
Yes.
Yeah. And what would you like instead?
Peace, calm, the ability to focus, the ability to feel okay with the demands of what's going on around me, a sense of confidence.
And if I told you that that's possible to attain, because for me, what you're describing, your state where you are at the moment, you are in a stress state. You are in a stress response state physiologically. And in order to be able to be calm, to concentrate, to have a clear mind, and to be able to prioritize and see clearly, you need to be in a relaxation response physiologically. So, through mindfulness training, we can teach you how to make this shift and to get a mind that is clearer, more focused, and more present. And from that state, it's much more easier for you to see what needs to be done, what's happening at the moment, what is needed right now, what is needed tomorrow.
Doctor, I think there are a lot of people who live in that stressful state, and this message that you're describing about a more relaxed state, clearer, calmer, more focused mindsets. I think that's of great interest to my listeners. How do we get there? You said you could teach us, and I also want to tie into the course that is available through the Leadership Academy at the Workplace Peace Institute that Dr. Outi teaches there. So whether you're talking about how we get there through the course, or how would you help people do this just through a more general approach, just some direction and advice. I'm excited about what you're offering here.
Yeah. Well, to my patients, I advise them to start with meditation apps, mindfulness meditation apps. There are wonderful apps where you can learn. You start with 5 minutes a day, and that's, by the way, completely fine. 5 minutes a day, every day. You don't need more. And if you do that for 1 month, you will already see a change in your, felt sense of being.
And why is that? I know many speak highly of meditation. I'm curious about which particular apps you might recommend, and then how does meditation help us?
There are 2 big international apps. They are called Headspace and Calm. They are really well done, and they also teach you how to meditate. So you can get started by that. Very often, in my experience, it is so that people need at some point, some kind of further training, taking some kind of mindfulness course or a retreat, or taking a mindfulness coach. So, I've been practicing this only 13 years. But it's actually, when you start it, it's a way of being, it's a way of life, it's a shift in it's like a mind shift. So you start to look at things and live differently. So it's not just I take a course and then like do something, but it's more a way of being.
What's the impact you've seen on people who have made this mind shift? What are some of the benefits? And maybe you can speak personally, or maybe tell a story about people that you've worked with. What have they gained?
Well, when I started, when I did my first mindfulness course, I did understand that I have difficulties to concentrate on the present moment, but mostly when I did the course, I understood how stressed I was. I was so stressed that I wasn't even aware that I was stressed. So in order to change the things that make me stressed, the first thing I need is the awareness that I am stressed. And then having enough awareness to start noticing what are the situations actually when I start to, feel stressed or constricted. So it's awareness training. And why, as a medical doctor, I am so thrilled and I have concentrated on mindfulness is that it has very clear health benefits. It can help to alleviate symptoms of many diseases, physical diseases, and mental diseases. And also, people just report that they have better quality of life. Some people tell, when they have been easily getting anger attacks or losing their temper after some weeks of training, like 6 to 8 weeks training, they might say, it's interesting, but I'm not losing my temper anymore. I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything. I didn't change anything. But, meditation changes our brain. It's called neuroplasticity. Our brain is malleable, changeable. And meditation, we actually know nowadays a lot what's happening in the brain and where meditation works in the brain and what changes happen in the brain. And there are lots of studies about the health benefits and of meditation.
Doctor, take us back into the workplace and let's talk a bit about the course that you offer through the Workplace Peace Institute's Leadership Academy. What can we expect if we sign up for this course? Tell us about the format, your approach, and most importantly, what we would walk away with after we complete the course.
The Mindful Leader is a 6-week course, which has 1 hour weekly like information content. But most importantly, it has recorded audio practices, mindfulness practices for each week and some journaling practices. So basically, if you are doing all the practices every day during 6 weeks, we go through like being able to concentrate on the present moment, understanding how our mind works, getting a more distance to our thoughts, getting better emotional balance, practicing self-compassion and compassion skills. And these are actually our innate capabilities. So it's not rocket science. It's our innate capabilities. And we are just unlocking them because nobody has taught us in this society to tap into these human qualities of presence and compassion and bodily presence. So my course is a very practical course where I really want, and that's my work is also anywhere where I go, I really want to teach people these skills because they are easily taught and you can easily learn them. You just need to be very motivated and do the practices every day. But as I said, it takes 5 to 10 minutes per day, and they are highly beneficial.
Who's the ideal candidate for your course? If one of my listeners is thinking about, am I the right person for this course? Should I recommend it to a colleague? How about my boss? Would he be a good candidate for this course? Who's the ideal candidate for your course?
Everybody who is interested in learning more about how to become a more human leader. So everybody can learn mindfulness because these are our innate capabilities. It's just rediscovering them. So actually it needs a motivation and interest. That's actually the prerequisite.
Is this something that would be better done with a partner, with a friend? Can we encourage one another so we stick to it, we hold one another accountable, so to speak? Is that something you would recommend?
Of course, it's always because we that's one important aspect of mindfulness is also like the connection to others. Because in mindfulness, we are actually training to connect with ourselves. But the good thing is that when we connect with ourselves, we are actually more in connection with others. And we human beings, we are social animals. So we usually thrive in connection with other people, and it motivates us also more if we can share these things and talk about this. And even I'm thinking having whole teams doing this kind of training together and taking a mindfulness coach to help them navigate through these topics. And yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. In my experience, learning with others is always more fun, more meaningful. There's greater commitment oftentimes. It's sometimes easy to fade away from an individual effort, but if you've got others cheering you on, it's a little easier to stick with it. I read something in the materials that were provided to me that I wanted to explore, and then we're going to land the plane and conclude our conversation because our time is passed quickly here. But I read this term, empathy fatigue. And I've been focused in my own work on helping leaders develop empathy. And I know it's a big part of leadership or leaders with empathy are more effective and I think more human. But can we experience empathy fatigue? If so, what is it? What does it look like? What are the signs? Can you speak to that a bit?
Yes, I think here it's important to define the terms. So, very strictly, empathy means I feel what the other person is feeling. And we also know that in the brain scans, the same areas of the brain get activated. So if somebody is feeling some kind of pain, like sadness, and I feel empathy, so I feel the sadness that the person is feeling. That's good. That's like a first step. Then very often, if we are in jobs where we need to feel a lot what others are feeling, like in healthcare, it very quickly becomes overwhelming, because if we are all the time in negative emotions, feeling the negative emotions or difficult emotions of others, we'll get depleted very quickly. So then that's where compassion comes in. And compassion is basically, it's empathy plus an action to alleviate the suffering of the other. So compassion is a positive state of mind. So it's I can be empathic and understand your pain, but I also know that I have the ability somehow to relieve it or help you. And even if it's just by being present with you. Even if I can't do anything else, that's already helping. And then I'm tapping into compassion, which is a positive state of mind. This is a very, very big topic, but I tried to make a short answer to that.
No, I appreciate that. And that simple verbal equation is incredibly useful. Empathy plus action equals compassion. I really appreciate that. So can you give our listeners just one thing that they might begin doing right away that would move them toward greater mindfulness or compassion in their daily lives and work? What's some simple advice?
A wonderful mindfulness practice that doesn't take any more time and effort is mindful listening. So, because we're listening and in conversation and communication all the time, but most of the time we are not really listening. We are already thinking what we think, what we will say. And so really practicing, I just listen and I concentrate like 100% on listening to what the other person is saying. And before I even tell my opinion about it, I ask questions. Like, oh, what did you mean when you said that? Oh, interesting. And what does that look like? Did I really try to tap into the shoes of the other person and understand what that person is saying? Because our autopilot mode is that we just say our opinion and blah, 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 and continue. But really stopping there and listening to people and giving them space and being present with them and looking them in the eyes and giving them the present of being present.
Listening with curiosity.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's a powerful way to end our conversation today. Outi, thank you so much for being a great guest on the Mission First People Always podcast. You are our first guest from Finland. So congratulations. I'm not sure that there's any prize that's associated with that, but you are our first guest from Finland, and you've been an incredible and informative and really encouraging deliverer of a really powerful message. So thank you for doing that. To my listeners, if you like and find value in, you need what Outi has shared with us today, please, please, please check out her course in the Leadership Academy of the Workplace Peace Institute. I think she described the course really well. I think there's real value in this for many, if not most of us. Bring a friend along and do it with someone. And you can access this course or any course through drmikepatterson.com. The relationship I have with Workplace Peace Institute allows my listeners who access these courses through drmikepatterson.com to receive a generous discount. So I would encourage you to do that, tap into this incredible value, and make yourself a better leader. Make yourself a more human and compassionate person in the world. Your colleagues, those you lead, your family and neighbors, your friends will appreciate the fact that you've done that. Until next time, be a great leader, be a great teammate, be a great.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to create a stronger, more people-centric and empowered culture for your organization, visit drmikepatterson.com.